Mary Kenny, the associate narrative lead at Insomniac Games and who is working on their Marvel's Wolverine game, decided to weigh in on Sweet Baby Inc. and run cape for the company, trying to disabuse gamers of what the company actually does. Unfortunately for her, we have evidence from SweetBabyInc.com's website and comments from Sweet Baby Inc. employees on what they actually do. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. This is over at thatparkplace.com, and Kenny posted a 12 post thread where she began this. Some of you don't seem to understand how narrative consulting on games works, but don't worry, I do. Yes, this is about Sweet Baby because I've worked with that team and they're one of the finest in the biz. Massive, massive red flag for Marvel's Wolverine and obviously other Insomniac games. I think we can point to Marvel's Spider-Man 2 as the perfect example. We do indeed know that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on that game. She then shared this very disingenuous breakdown of what Sweet Baby Inc. does by X user 88-bit closed fist. I'm not going to get into that. If you want to, the video is here on That Park Place. But I just want to stick with what Mary Kenny actually says. She says that he gives a good breakdown, but he's full of crap. But after sharing this video, this is what Kenny said. It says, it starts with dev team has an idea. Maybe they already have an outline and their story and a core gameplay loop. Maybe they've got a whole script and a playable build. Either way, something is missing. Could be any number of things. A character feels underbaked, maybe a whole faction. The backstory of a map has weak sauce world building, and no one on the team has time to do the research and brainstorming to make it cool. Maybe the dev team has gotten a ton of notes from publishers plus executives on things that aren't working in the game. Maybe the notes are all internal. The team knows something is wrong, but not how to identify or fix it. She then wrote this: wherever you are in development and wherever the notes are coming from, the problem is the same. Something's wrong and the team can't figure out how to fix it. That's when you call Sweet Baby. So she's very clear that it could be anywhere in development from the very beginning. It could be the entire script, could be their build, could be a character feeling underbaked, etc., etc., etc. Right? So she's saying that they come in and they can make all of these changes. Sweet Baby can make all of these changes to the game. And then she says, this next part is key because some of you seem really confused. Narrative consultants do not get final say, and they don't override the core dev team and leads. It doesn't get into the game if we don't approve it. So I'm not really sure where this straw man that they have created is coming from. They've clearly created this straw man. We saw it from the Sweet Baby Inc. employees, Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer, when they were pushing this false narrative as well. Really don't know where exactly this narrative is coming from. I think they've made this narrative up so they can gaslight people. They've created a straw man so they can light it on fire and attack it, even though that's really not what anyone is actually saying. But nevertheless, that's what she has to say here, trying to say like, oh, the studios bring this company in, the company gives advice, and it could be advice on pretty much everything that could be involved in the game, from the script to the characters to entire factions, etc., etc. But we as the studio still have to make the final decision. Well, of course you do. No one was saying otherwise. But you still went to this company to put this stuff into the game. You went to them to solve your problems. That is the problem. Nevertheless, Kenny goes on and says they consult, they do research, pitch ideas, give feedback, and maybe even write scripts. So literally admitting that they write scripts. But none of that gets into the game unless the core dev team agrees with it. I'm going to keep saying that because it's key. Okay, great. Sweet Baby is not, nor is any consulting group coming in to wreck games. Yes, they are. They literally are. We have this. We'll get to this, but they are. They're helping smooth out plots and deepen characters. They ease the burden on the core narrative team. They're additive in every way. And if the dev team disagrees with them on something, the dev team doesn't take the note. It really is that simple. So no, Sweet Baby did not kill your game. Of course, they had nothing to do with the layoffs. Duh. Again, this is all them creating straw men and trying to address straw men. There's a reason why they don't actually show examples of people saying this, because it's likely they're not saying it. They gave notes, pitches, advice, and research. The studio made the final call on what went in the game. If you have beef, it's with us. Keep it with us. And then she concluded saying, "I'm so lucky to have worked with that team. I hope to do so again. I hope uh, she uses a pejorative there. Don't drive out some of the most talented, passionate people we've got." And then finishes her thread. Well, anyone who takes a look at Sweet Baby Inc.'s website will quickly be disabused of the narrative that Mary Kenny is attempting to paint. Their About Us section states, founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consultation studio based in Montreal and working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversifying and enriching the video game industry. That is the purpose of the company. That is what they're trying to do. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive. They want to make them more diverse and more inclusive, which is code for anti-white. Number of people are picking this up, and that's what it is. That's what it means. If you disagree, there's numerous articles of them actually saying it out there. So that's what they're doing. They've made it abundantly clear what they do. So yes, they are indeed trying to ruin games. Sorry, Mary Kenny, you're wrong. And then you have this point here where they literally say new and marginalized talent can change this industry if given the proper support. They indeed want to change the industry. That's exactly what they're saying right there. Very clear. And then you have this Sweet Baby Inc. CEO Kim Belair admitted in 2019 that she and her company were opposed to diversifying a game with a Frenchman and advocated for a person of color. So she says, I once worked on a project where they had an all-white cast where they expressed their desire, okay, we need to mix it up a bit. How about this character's like stereotypically French? So they have a beret and they have like a striped shirt. And I was like, okay, if you need to do that, can we at least make them a person of color? And they said, oh no, that would be weird. They're already French. So we already knew how Sweet Baby Inc. works. They're brought in as consultants. They give poisonous ideas. And fortunately, some game devs actually say, no, we don't want that garbage. What are you doing? Where obviously Mary Kenny and the people at Insomniac are like, yes, we want that garbage. Let's ruin our games. So yes, that's what Sweet Baby Inc. does. They are there to be anti-white. I mean, this proves it. She didn't want a Frenchman. She didn't care about that diversity. She wanted it to be a person of color. That's exactly what she wanted. She's admitting it. And then she says, so I want to do better than this because having a Frenchman in the game isn't enough. It's not enough for her. In that same presentation, Belair also admitted that the company does indeed work to censor games. They just do it through sensitivity reading. If you pay attention to what's going on in the novel space, you know that sensitivity readers have been destroying classic novels, changing the language that is used in order to quote unquote create safe spaces for readers so they're not exposed to what exactly the author actually wrote in their novels. A lot of times, even in modern novels, they use these sensitivity readers to try and glaze over things that they deem problematic or offensive or all of that stuff, clearly destroying a lot of very popular novel genres such as science fiction and fantasy. But this is what Kim Belair had to say. She said, we need sensitivity readers. We need risk assessment. And these are like, again, important services that I literally like list on every PDF that I send out to be like, hey, I can do risk assessment and sensitivity reading. And then we also have this. One of the company's employees, Maya Rudolph, also declared back in 2014, pay me to shoot down your white male game leads. Again, their whole idea of diversity is anti-white. Another example of it right here. And then you've got this right here. The silver bullet to Kenny's narrative is how Belair described working with video game developers in that game developers conference. She says, if you're creative working in AAA, which I did for many years, she worked at Ubisoft, put this stuff up to your higher ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. Because they have to consider, I say that out loud as a joke, but it's actually very, very true, because if you start to consider the people who are player and audience facing, and you have to deal with mitigating harm and with keeping the sentiment around their game and their project positive, there's like a genuine value that you can impress upon them, both ethically and financially. You could say this is important. She then said it's also a valid discussion to have because if you're working with a thin narrative budget and you work in AAA, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised or dismayed by the amount of money that marketing can give you. So I think it's very clear here that she is trying to threaten video game developers with woke social media mobs that were highly active back in 2019 to attack these video game developers if they did not push this anti white diversity agenda. And then she also admits that it's very lucrative for her to do this because she is the consultant that's going to get paid a lot of money to benefit from the racket. And then at the end of her presentation, she actually admits that what she's doing is injecting wokeness into the video game industry. She says, none of what we're doing is about ticking boxes or about a veneer of wokeness. We actually have to care about making this up. So when you're saying it's not about a veneer of wokeness, you're admitting that it is about full on wokeness. So, yes, Sweet Baby Inc.'s purpose and goal, as listed on their website, as said by their company's founder and CEO, Kim Belair, is to ruin video games with wokeness. Sorry, Mary Kenny. Your entire narrative blows up just by browsing Sweet Baby Inc.'s website and listening to what Kim Belair has to say. You can also go on to how all of this started because Sweet Baby Inc. literally activated the tactics that Kim Belair was talking about in 2019 with Chris Kindred and Maya Kramer trying to cancel Cabrutus Rambo after he created a Steam curator list that lists all of the games that Sweet Baby Inc. has worked on and does not recommend them. I call it a boycott list because I think that's what it is. Other people can call it whatever they want. But for all intents and purposes, in my opinion, it's a boycott list. And they tried to cancel him, cancel the curator group, and cancel his Steam account, cancel him, all the things that he worked hard for, the money he used to buy for his Steam account. They want to cancel that, take that away from him because he wants to boycott this company. And they try to activate those terrified tactics that Kim Belair talked about and try to cancel him. It's all right here. Anyway, report the F out of this group and report the creator since he loves his account so much. And then I don't have the ones from Kramer in here, but she's like, we have to get the people in authority in charge. So clearly wants to activate those terrify tactics that Kim Belair talked about. That's what Sweet Baby Inc. is all about. They are about ruining the video game industry, and they're very upfront about it. Let me know what you guys make of this in the comments below. Remember to always be charitable, but to always speak the truth.